This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Hey, good morning. Welcome in. This is television time. Yeah, for Coffee, Country, and Cody. 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock in the East. There's Charlie Mattos. And normally Kelly Sutton would be right over here, right here in this chair. But Kelly Sutton is on a plane to New York, to Madison Square Garden. She goes. She's with Kelsey Ballerini for the Patterns album release show, that one-off show at Madison Square Garden. And then in January, she starts her Big Girl Tour. She calls it her Arenas Tour, which I think is like 30 dates strong or something like that.
Yeah, good for her.
Yeah, absolutely. Morgan Wallen, number one song in the world. We did that story a little earlier for radio. We'll share that with the television audience here in just a little bit. What else to tell about? Reba McEntire, the success of Happy's Place. That premiere episode did great things. Dylan Scott, Chris Jansen, Tortuga. We're going to Tortuga, which Charlie thought was a country.
Nope, it's in Fort Lauderdale.
It's
I worked 5 miles from Tortuga, apparently.
Did you?
Yes, I must have.
But
yes.
we didn't have the music festival during your days.
Did not have it down, no.
What was the big festival in Miami during your time there? At the
Oh,
university?
God. Well,
by the way, you guys are good again.
we are good again.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm enjoying being good again.
I bet you are.
Yes, thank you.
It's been a long dry spell.
I'm going to appeal to the NCAA for 4 more years of eligibility for our quarterback, Cam Ward.
Well, you don't have the Patriots to fall back on.
No.
Back in the old days, you had Tom Brady and the Patriots you could fall back on.
Right. There's very little falling back in the sports world for New Englanders these days. Celtics are good. But no, I did the big festival. You know, Calle Ocho, the big Cuban festival, Hispanic festival, was big. That took all of downtown Miami. I remember was big back then.
Can I interest you in New England Patriot Tennessee Titan ticket for the weekend ahead? Would you be?
How much you gonna pay me? I'd be happy to go.
So let's catch up on Reba McEntire and Chris Jansen and Dylan Marlowe and Dylan Scott and Dolly Parton and Dolly Wood, starting with Reba this morning. Her new sitcom is called Happy's Place. Big hit with fans. NBC comedy show ranked, 10 million, I think was the viewership number. 10 million viewers following its debut back on the 18th. Dylan Scott and Dylan Marlowe. Well, Dylan Scott first. He enlisted his 1-year-old son, Barron, to announce some exciting news. A new track called Country Till I Die, which comes out on December the 6th. Watch and listen.
I'm not telling them. You tell them. Country Till I Die comes out on December the 6th. Go use the link now in the bio to pre-save it.
For the radio audience, I'm sorry you can't see this because it's just hilarious. Kind of making a mannequin out of his son, who is one and not speaking, obviously.
Well, if you go to Dylan Scott's either TikTok or X or probably Instagram as well, you can watch that.
So for the folks who are listening on radio, he shared the news with fans on socials via a video while he was holding Barron on his lap. You can watch the full video, as you mentioned, Charlie, on socials. Country Till I Die is the name of the new one, December 6th. Right now, his current single, This Town's Been Good to Us, and the duet with Dylan Marlowe, Boys Back Home, are both top 40 hits. So life is good, times are good, career doing well. Big things for Dylan Scott. Chris Jansen, Opry star. He's set to drop a new song called Cheap on Friday. The Opry star hit it up on socials, several little teaser clips. What a hook. Cheap is the name of it. You can pre-save it now. His latest single, What You See Is What You Get, is in the top 30 and still climbing. So new music. Excited to come out on Friday. Cheap from Chris Jansen. Tortuga 2025. Jelly Roll, Keith Urban, Luke Combs. So an Opry regular and a couple of Opry members are headlining the 3-day Tortuga Music Festival. Fort Lauderdale, Charlie, down there where you went to college?
Not far at all, just over the Dade-Broward line.
The 12th annual event is April 4th through 6th. It's on the beach there in Fort Lauderdale. Other performers will be Jordan Davis. See, Gary Allen is up, Abby Anderson, Rodney Atkins, Parker McCullum. And they go on sale, the 3-day passes go on sale to the general public on Friday of this week. And let's talk Dolly and Dollywood. Dollywood's Harvest Festival. It wraps up today in the Great Smoky Mountains. The annual event includes the Great Pumpkin Luminites, the beloved Hoot Owl Hollow, as well as thousands of carved pumpkins throughout the park. Dollywood's Christmas season cranks up November 1.
So they take 2 days off to completely revamp from Halloween to Christmas.
And it runs through January 5th. And speaking of Dolly Parton is teaming up with the Nashville Symphony these days for a unique multimedia experience, and we get the premiere. The show is called Threads, My Songs in Symphony. It'll feature vocalists and musicians performing her classic hits like Jolene and I Will Always Love You. Dolly will also make on-screen appearances. The show premieres here. That's March 20th. And after that, it tours the world with orchestras from all over the world. So that's the latest from Dolly. Steve Dorff is coming to see us in just a little while in studio on Coffee, Country, and Cody, the songwriter Hall of Famer, and some work that he and Bill Anderson have done that has drawn the attention of Tim McGraw and Barbara Streisand.
From WSM Radio, this is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Steve Dorff, he's a songwriter Hall of Famer, a friend, and frequent guest on Coffee, Country, and Cody through the years. Drinking up our coffee, telling this wonderful story, songwriter stories off the air. Now we're going to share them on the air all over the world.
This is so cool, this studio. Oh, my God, it's beautiful what you guys have done here. It's great.
We're sitting in the living room.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be, I like to refer to it as country music's living room. It really is. And this would have been the fireplace, the backdrop where the logo, the WSM Studios logo is located. And 1984, until he passed in 1992, Mr. Acuff made his home here.
Good one. Wow.
Did you know him?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I was still in Los Angeles back then, and I knew who he was, of course. But
yeah. So you mentioned L.A. Did you ever come to Nashville before you went to L.A.? Because you grew up in New York?
No, I grew up in New York, went to Los Angeles, and started really my career in L.A., producing and arranging and playing on records. And then the guy I was writing for, Snuff Garrett, started producing a lot of country artists. And he'd call me and say, I need a song. We're doing an album on Ray Price. And I go, who's Ray Price? You know, I didn't really know, country artists.
In some ways, as a songwriter, is that easier? You're not influenced in any way?
No, I've never really been one to sit down and say I'm going to write a country song or an R&B song. I just write a song and then let them fly wherever they're going to fly.
Well, they've always been said there's only two kinds of songs, right? Good ones and bad ones. And the good ones will be good almost any way you want to cut them.
Yeah, I always say there's really no expiration date on a great song. Most of mine were not recorded and hits right away. I mean, I Crossed My Heart for George Strait took 8 years before he cut it.
You just had a great backstory on
I Just Fall
in Love Again on Anne Murray, which was a monster hit for Anne Murray. But
first recorded by Karen Carpenter and then Dusty Springfield, and took 6 years before Anne cut it and put it out. And Garth Brooks' Baby Let's Lay Down and Dance was a 21-year-old song.
No kidding.
Yeah, I forgot I had written it when Kent Blasey called me and said, hey, Garth's cutting our song. I said, Garth who? And I said, what song? And he gave me the title. I said, I don't remember writing that.
How many songs have you cataloged to date?
Oh, I don't know. I've had 400 recorded. I know that, but I don't know how many I've written. Probably a couple of thousand.
Wow. And television themes that people know.
Yeah, a lot of TV.
Run that list, the short list of things people would recognize.
Growing Pains, Murphy Brown, Murder, She Wrote, Columbo, Spencer for Hire. I can't remember all of them. I did a lot of TV, about 5,000 hours of network television.
Oh, wow. It's one of the things I lament, that the TV theme song, with few exceptions,
is gone.
Yeah, it's gone away, and that was such a part of my childhood. That
because the advertisers need the space for the advertising dollars. And now if you get 15 seconds, that's a lot.
Well, do me a favor. I'm sure your home, whether they're on the wall or in a closet somewhere, there's a lot of awards, there's a lot of plaques, but take me back about 6 years to 2018 in New York and the Songwriters Hall of Fame, because that's so cool.
Well,
and you went into the same class with a guy you're working with so much these days, Whispering Bill Anderson.
With Bill, yeah. That the Songwriters Hall of Fame is for songwriters the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I'm still pinching myself because I'm on the board now, and so I have to go to these board meetings where we talk about who's the nominating process for the following year, and I'll lean over to Paul Williams or Desmond Child, who are two of my, and say, how did I get in? This is like really hard. Just getting on the ballot, it's crazy. It was amazing. That was the greatest night of my life, I think, and professionally, and to get in with Bill, who I'd known. It was really, it's just a real humbling night.
We'll talk more about that and the working relationship that you guys are involved in presently with an EP from Bill called Forevermore. We're going to feature a cut from it now.
Alan Jackson, John Mellencamp, Neil Diamond among those in that same class. So pretty impressive company.
It'd be an all-star baseball lineup for sure, wouldn't it?
And let's not forget Kool and the Gang.
Oh, you're right. Yes. Yeah.
More coffee, country, and Cody is on WSM.
He's a songwriter Hall of Famer, and for good reason. Steve Dorff, our guest this morning, and most recently working with Bill Anderson, Country Music Hall of Famer, and fellow member of that Songwriters Hall of Fame. And of course, Bill is in the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame. Producer and co-writer on 5 of the songs on the new EP from Bill Anderson called Forevermore, and we heard the last one, I'll Forget, as we went to the break. That is just an incredible song and incredible delivery and performance on Bill's part.
Yeah, it sure was. Bill, he's in his own lane. Nobody does what he does, and it was really a fun project. We both wanted to do something that sounded fresh for him, and did it very pared down. Very production was minimalistic, I would call it. And it was all about the songs and the lyric delivery.
He joined us the morning that album came out, and afterwards he said, I can't tell you too much about this, but I might be getting a song recorded by someone I've never gotten a song recorded by, and you can now maybe at least tell us who that song recorded by would be.
Yeah, I sent the original demo we had done on a song Bill and I wrote to my good friend Jay Landers, who's Barbra Streisand's executive producer. And Jay called me the next day and he said, do you have a lyric sheet? And I sent him the lyric sheet, and he played it for Barbara, and Barbara loved it. And she's doing an all-duet album that's coming out early next year. And so it's going to be quite a really great record.
And Tim McGraw's involved with the particular song that you guys wrote?
Yeah, Tim's going to do the duet with Barbara. So.
That's extraordinary.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to come back when that's out in early in 2025.
We're pretty excited about it.
You've had songs that have charted in 5 successive decades. You've had #1 hits that have spanned 4 decades. This extraordinary career that has names like Clay Walker, whom you will share the Opry stage with tonight, Charlie. Lee Greenwood, Eddie Rabbitt. We mentioned Anne Murray a little bit earlier, Kenny Rogers, and on the list of Hall of Famers that have recorded Steve's songs. George Strait, you mentioned earlier, you were the musical director for Pure Country, were you not?
No, I composed all the music for the film and wrote Heartland and I Crossed My Heart, the 2 big songs.
Jim Lauderdale was just in recently, and King of Broken Hearts made that soundtrack.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe that, 32 years have passed since that movie came out?
Crazy.
How did that change the landscape for you at the time? I mean, you're already on a roll, but still.
Yeah, I had done all those Frizzell West records. And, You're the Reason God Made Oklahoma. And so people were taking notice of me, even though I was living in Los Angeles. And I started arranging for a lot of artists. And I started coming to Nashville to do string arrangements and for Tony Brown and James Stroud and some of the great producers, Don Cook. And I think, my songs have always had this little different spin on the ball. They're, chords that you don't normally hear in, quote, country, unquote music. and I just, got lucky.
Where did you become the master of melody? Where did that come from as a child who discovers music?
That's, I listened to all I grew up listening to theater and movie soundtracks. That's what I really wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I wanted to write orchestral pieces for movies and write Broadway shows. And as a small kid, I'd stand in front of the mirror, instead of trying to be Paul McCartney, I'd pretend to be Harold Hill from The Music Man. So I was a weird kid. And that's where it comes from. I don't really sit down and say I'm going to write a country song, or I'm going to write a song for Kenny Rogers or Anne Murray or Barbra Streisand. I just write what's in front of me, and then pray that someone salutes.
Well, people owe it to themselves to get your book. I wrote that one too, A Life in Songwriting from Willie to Whitney, from Steve Dorff, our special guest. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention this, because you told me off the air, 8 years after his passing, your son Andrew has got a single from Luke Combs, or a cut from Luke Combs?
It's on Luke's new album, and incredible song. And
what's it called? What's the title? Something about leaving. Last one to.
Yeah. Oh God.
That's okay.
I get so many titles.
You referenced it earlier when we were off the air. The last one to leave, or I'm always leaving, or something to that effect.
I can't remember the exact title, but it's something about leaving.
Imagine that in country music.
I have it on my phone.
Well, I was very excited to hear that news. You said you're still going through
All I ever do is leave.
That's it.
Yep.
All I ever do.
You said you're still going through his catalog. You had no idea.
Oh yeah, he wrote like 2,000-3,000 songs, and I thought the fun thing about it is every once in a while I'll get a call, like I did with Luke and from Universal, and they said, Andrew's song's on Luke Combs' new album. I said, what song? And they told me. So I had to go through the catalog and pull up the demo and listen to it. And then when I heard Luke's version, it was like incredible. And
Steve Dorff is our special guest this morning, and thank you for getting up early and coming in.
Oh, thank you guys. This is always fun.
You said your drive took about an hour to get here this morning. How long would it have taken in L.A. to make that same journey?
I would have
You'd
had
be here
to
tomorrow?
leave last night. Yeah.